Welcome to the Sharon Decker podcast, where we share stories of who we love, what we love, and places we love in Western North Carolina. So settle in, listen up, and enjoy the show. I'm so excited about having Stephanie Johnson on the podcast today. Stephanie, welcome to the Sharon Decker podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So good to see you. So good to see you. Listen, I want folks to know about the work that you have been doing in rebuilding the Hollers. Now, Stephanie, we have folks all over the country, actually all over the world, that listen to us. So you first have to explain what a holler is.
So a holler was my favorite place in the world, but imagine a mountain range coming up. The holler is that little valley in between the mountains that dead ends right into the back of a mountain. There's always a creek running beside of it and gravel road or a paved road that splits that valley. So when you're back in the holler, that's basically like a dead end. Think of it like a cul-de-sac with mountains all around you.
Cul-de-sac with mountains. That's a great way to describe it. I always say, Stephanie, that the Hollers are one of my most favorite places because they are still usually, and they're sweet, and they kind of wrap up around us.
Yes.
So the Hollers are special places. But the challenge with Hurricane Helene is that the water ended up and the mud ended up in the Hollers, right?
Yes. We have so many springs that came down the mountains, natural springs and waterways. Like I said, there's always a creek. And so all of our hollers were hit significantly with the rain that came down.
Stephanie, tell me exactly where you are. Tell our guests, our listeners, exactly where you are in Western North Carolina and kind of describe what your community is like.
So I live in Burnsville, North Carolina, which is in Yancey County, the most devastated during the storm. And it is like a Norman Rockwell kind of town. It has a small downtown little square with sweet little mom and pop shops that are amazing. We have wonderful restaurants, and we have the oldest working theater in the country, Parkway Playhouse. We have so many very unique, very mom and pop. Everything is small. Nothing is corporate here. You know, it's all small community businesses. And then outside of Burnsville, we have Mount Mitchell, which is the highest peak east of the Mississippi. That's where Helene got stuck. And that's why we got so devastated. And then we also, at the other end of the county, we have the Appalachian Trail and the Tow River. So we are dead in the middle of the most incredible nature you have ever seen.
So beautiful.
It is. It's so beautiful. Before the storm, my favorite place to be was the Tow River. We would paddleboard and tube that. I was in it so much that I couldn't even post how often I was there because people would think I never worked. But it was my favorite place to be with my daughter in nature. You know, is just we're not a very tourist area unless you're looking to spend time with nature. If you're going hiking, biking, again, fishing, there's a lot of fishing here, tubing, paddleboarding. That's our industry. That is our nature. That's the beauty here.
And wonderful people like you, very open-hearted people. So Stephanie, the storm hit last September. Tell me where you were, and then really want to understand what in the world got you so focused on the rebuild and just tell us the story of how all that happened.
Okay. So we live in West Burnsville, my family and I, which is my husband and my daughter. She was 18 at the time. And our home was okay. We live at 3,200 foot elevation. And so we were home the morning of the storm, and the wind was insane. The rain was insane, but we had no idea how bad it was until we walked out that morning. It stopped raining at 11:01, and we already had our gear on. We were waiting for the rain to stop so we could go see how bad it was. And we lost about 15 trees on our driveway. So it took us 3 days to cut out.
Wow.
It was really day 4 before we understood how bad it was in our community. And so we got our trees cut out of the way. Our neighbor came up, and the creek had jumped the road and so had completely washed our road out as well. So our neighbor came up on day 3 and got our road. We cut these huge logs and put them in the ruts. And then he come up and was able to move some dirt, and we were able to drive out on that 4th day. And that's when we understood how significant it was. For me, what made it happen. What started it all was we stopped at a gas station that was
Mm,
cash only. And so I went in and just was topping off a couple, I said, well, I'll get a couple things. And there was a mom behind me buying food with a bag of quarters. And I knew
mm,
what I had already been through the last 3 days,
yeah,
trying, running off the generators, doing all the things. And I thought,
right.
this poor mama, what does she have to do to get all these quarters? I mean, I'm imagining her, right, digging through the couch and emptying all these buckets, and I'm thinking about this
Yeah,
bag of quarters, and it just changed something in me. And I said, we gotta, honey, people are not okay. We gotta go home and get food out of our pantry and start giving it away because we're cash only society, and how many people
yeah.
have
There was
cash?
no electricity at this point, right?
No
None.
electricity, no internet, no power, no just nothing, no cell service. We had nothing.
Right.
And my community had nothing. And I love the children. I have, my daughter's, like I said, 18. And I just couldn't imagine what that mom was going through buying chips and just
Yeah,
anything that she could get. Cause there were 3 gas stations that were rotating being open, at that time. And no grocery stores were open. Most of the roads in and out, we couldn't get in and out off of the mountain. And so
yeah,
it was just very much, what are we going to do? We had already been taking food down to the bottom of our driveway and leaving for our neighbors over the last 3 days because the folks across from us, and we're up in a holler, so you can't see houses,
right.
but you can see driveways. They were
Right.
already like, we're out of water. We don't have any water. And it was
Yeah,
day 3, so I
yeah,
knew the community
yeah.
was in trouble. And so on October the 1st, we rolled into Rose's parking lot, which is just this huge parking lot right in the middle of downtown Burnsville. And I parked my Hummer right at where people could see it. And I put an American flag on it. And then I made a sign out of a box that said free food. And we started handing out food that day. And
Wow, God bless you.
I had gotten a Facebook video out the day that we had first come out of the holler. And I said to my followers, we're alive, but we're not okay. Send food, and I'll be at this
Yeah,
place. I'll be at Rose's parking lot.
right.
And the truck
Where you had
started.
a little bit of signal, right?
Yeah, yeah. Barely,
Yeah,
barely just enough. And the food
yeah,
started coming. So that next day, a truck came with food. And the first 2 days of us doing that, we would give it all away in one day. So a truck would come
wow,
with a lot of stuff and I would stand there and hand it out. Anything that was left, I could put in the back of my Hummer and take it home and come back the next day and start again. But that only lasted 2
wow.
days. And then
Yes.
then it went crazy. By October the 5th, we had filled up an entire parking lot. It was
Oh,
incredible how
wow.
America responded in bringing us
Right,
the supplies and the food that we needed. And my commitment was to just be there. Just get
right,
them what they need, food, water, camping supplies, because as people were coming out of the holler, just like I did, it was so apocalyptic. It was so
yeah,
overwhelming. And then say you barely made it out of your holler alive, but if you didn't have cash, what are you going to do? You still can't
right.
get anything.
Yeah,
And so
kinda
that was,
stuck. Yeah,
yeah, that was my commitment, was to just be there and give them what they needed, whatever they needed. And mountain
yeah.
folk don't exactly like to take stuff. So they would
No,
say, oh, someone needs it worse than me. I'll just take this one little can of meat. And I learned really quickly to say, but God sent this for you. And that is how I was able to get them to take what we had. And I would say, it's
right,
okay to take more, take it back to your neighbors. And so we stood
right.
in that parking lot. The last person that came out was 31 days later. So on October 31st,
Wow.
the last family came out and said, you're my first stop. I just made it out of my,
Wow.
yeah,
After an entire month.
a whole
That's
month.
amazing. Stephanie, you immediately responded, you and your family, and you pulled friends along with you that helped. And I mean, there's so many amazing stories of the communities coming together. I'm so grateful for it and continues to happen. I mean, here we are more than a year later, and the needs are so great. You're a builder by trade. You were in the
Yeah.
building and construction business. And so you immediately also went back to work. Talk to us
Yes.
about that.
Well, so in a previous life, I was a commercial contractor and I had went to school for construction management. But I actually had ran
Yeah.
from that profession. So the last 12 years, I've been a realtor here in Yancey and Mitchell County, because I love the land. I love the property. And so I used
Yeah.
my construction experience to help buyers and sellers in their transition to the mountains. And so on November the 2nd, God sent building materials to the parking lot. And that was the first time that people really went crazy for what we had. Like there was almost fighting in the parking lot. And I said, God, you want me to get into building materials? And 4 hours later, 100 doors showed up. So what do you
Wow.
say? You
Yeah.
can't say, "Yes, sir," and so that
Message
was
was really clear at that point, right?
very clear which door he
Yeah.
intended me to walk through, and so I said, "Okay." And so, of course, all of my construction experience comes flooding back, and my mission was to get the building materials and tools. That's when we evolved, November 2nd.
Right.
I just have kept wanting to evolve with the community. What do they need? How can I get it? And so on November 2nd, I understood that appointment, and that's what I started actively going after was building materials and tools. Because if a man has the
Right.
tools to rebuild and he has the building material to rebuild, he will rebuild. And
Right.
so that's really how we evolved. By the end of December, we stopped doing basic distribution completely, and have only been focused on building materials and supplies. And it's worked.
Yeah.
We've got a lot done.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. I mean, how many homes at this point have you rebuilt?
Well, we have so kind of a overview is we have 581 projects on our books. We've
Wow.
completed 110 of those. 4 of those are total home rebuilds, and 2 of them are total business rebuilds, like being the home is completely gone and built
Right.
from the ground up, or a full remodel because the water came through it and we built it back.
I
So
was recently at DT's in Spruce Pine,
isn't that
and I
amazing?
know that you were very instrumental in getting that place back open, and it was buzzing. It was so much fun to be there. I bought a sweatshirt, got
Yes,
DT's on it. It's a
yes.
great sandwich shop.
Oh, I love DTs. You have to go in the morning and get the Calamity. That is the breakfast bagel. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I joke with them and I told them, they're like, "Steph, why are you doing this?" I said, "Because I would like a sandwich."
Yeah. Oh, that's
But yeah,
great. That's great.
DTs,
But you helped them rebuild their business, so you've got over 500
yeah,
projects that you're working toward, over 170 you said that are complete, so tell me
110
more.
done. Yeah. So we've
Okay,
got, and
110
then we
done.
have, 45 that are total rebuilds on the list now, and 17 of those in progress. So,
Wow.
we're in all stages of construction. So like yesterday, Project 32 is getting their well and septic, but Project 118 got gutters yesterday. And,
Wow.
Project 9's getting sheetrock, and Project 174 is finishing up their framing. So they're all the elements of construction you can imagine. I have projects in that phase. And it's been hard. It's very hard, but
Yeah.
it matters because so many of our neighbors, they don't have construction experience. And
Right.
so the ones that don't have construction experience, I'm much more involved in their rebuild on a daily
Right.
basis, giving them
Right.
advice. I hire locally, hire
Yeah.
everything locally. I only hire people that live in Yancey and Mitchell County. And
Yeah.
that way I feel like by investing the money that we raise locally, not only are we rebuilding our community physically, but intentionally, because these
Right.
other small businesses will be able to survive as well. See, my
Right.
project number 3 is a commercial contractor. So he's not only rebuilding his house, but he's also the general contractor on some
Wow.
of my projects.
That's amazing.
Project 5 was a block mason, and he lost
Yeah.
his home and his business, everything. So we got his home rebuilt. We were able to replace his tools, and now he's doing foundations for me,
That's
you know?
amazing.
And so
Good.
that's what
Well, go ahead.
it matters so much to me to keep this a local effort so that we can
Yes.
keep rebuilding our community together.
And Stephanie, it multiplies. I think generosity breeds generosity. So
Yeah.
just like you're so beautifully have demonstrated over the last year, is as you opened your heart and you gave, others gave, and it multiplies. And helping these folks get back on their feet,
Yes.
that is the lesson of generosity in our lives. And I think you've demonstrated it so beautifully. I love how you've partnered up with folks, like talking about the brick mason, others that you help so they can help others. I know you've also been involved at the high school, and we're so focused in North Carolina in helping high schoolers into our community colleges learn the basic trades that we need so desperately all across our state. But talk
Yes.
to us about the Heritage High School project and what you've got those young men and women doing. They're learning in the process of giving.
They are. It's so amazing. So our Mountain Heritage Construction Technology program was started 20 years ago by Jim Swain, and he approached me in the parking lot. It was mid-December, and he come
That
in.
parking lot will be famous forever as a
Yeah,
place so much good was bred right
yeah, it
there.
really is. He said, "Stephanie, can we build you tractor sheds?" And I said, "But Jim, don't y'all build tiny houses?" And he said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Then let's build houses." And he said, "But
Yeah,
we can't find the funding. Nobody will give us the money because what they do is a nonprofit manages the money. So they have to apply for grants to get the money to buy the building material to build." He said,
right.
"Nobody will give us money." I said, "I'll find the money. You start building, I'll find the money." So we came up with a plan of how I could finance the building materials, and that evolved into Project 118. And so that was our first small house that the high school built for us. We set that on its foundation, built by the block mason who lost everything, on September 16th. And that was
Amazing.
very powerful to see that house come out of the high school. What's really cool in a project number 3, which is my commercial contractor, 2 of the students that built that house in the high school last year's seniors are finishing the house on site this year.
Oh,
So it's
that's
just
great.
everybody comes together. And so they have 18 students, typically 16 to 18 students in the class. It's an honors
Uh-huh.
build class. And so they have 3 hours a day with the instructor, Jeremy Dotz. He's amazing. And they're building 2 houses at a
Love.
time. Yeah.
What a great thing for a child to have on a resume, right?
Yeah.
Finished high school, I've already built 2 houses and we have such great opportunities for them to continue to learn and our community colleges and even our universities with construction management, just like you did. Just thanks for the encouragement of young people in the process. They're learning so much more hands-on in these projects, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm also grateful, Stephanie, you've gotten a lot of national publicity for the work that you're doing. I think you were on the Weather Channel. I think this old house has been in Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled that you've had the chance to really get that kind of exposure, not just for you personally, but obviously for your project for rebuilding the Hollers. Mike Rowe was even in Yancey County, I hear. How
Yes.
has that helped your efforts? And
It's
what have you
been
learned in that process?
The exposure has been huge because we're so tiny. We're in rural,
Yes.
remote Appalachia, and so
Yeah.
people don't even know where Burnsville is. And
Yeah.
so for all we did Good Morning America too. All of these folks that have shared our story has been significant because people want to help, right? All of
Yes.
America is who came to help us in the beginning. And
Yeah.
that's who is helping us build now. Because we're a new organization and we're so small, we've not qualified for any grants. We've not
Right.
qualified for any funding, like state or federal funding.
Right.
And so everything we do is grassroots. Like we sell, so this is our merch. So I
Yeah.
sell t-shirts and hoodies. That's how I pay for our operation. That's how I pay all of our overhead. And then so every dollar that comes in goes straight to projects, which
It's amazing.
it's been
So,
incredible.
Stephanie, all right. So, people are watching this, they're listening to it on their radio as they're driving. Tell us how, if folks want the merchandise, that'd be a great Christmas gift. Rebuilding the Holler sweatshirts, hoodies, t shirts. If they want to know more, if they want to make a contribution, where do they go and what do they do?
Pretty please go to rebuildinghollers.com or .org. So that's just rebuildinghollers.com or .org. And in our store, you have t-shirts and hoodies. We have Christmas ornaments and blankets and pocketbooks. We have all kind of fun stuff. And so we will be so thankful if you will give the gift of rebuilding to your family. By buying locally from Rebuilding Hollers, you're helping us continue to help our neighbors get rebuilt. So that would be wonderful.
That's awesome. Rebuilding Hollers. Now I have to spell
Yes.
that too.
Yes.
HOLLARS, right?
E.
So
E is the E.
ESDRS.
Yes. Yes.
Hollers, not like
Hollers.
in holler, but
Exactly.
holler. And I'm glad
Yes.
you corrected me on that. I've misspelled
Yes.
it all of my life.
That's
So
okay.
rebuilding Hollers,
Correct.
HOLLERS.com or .org. Both will
Exactly.
get you there.
Yeah.
That's important to know. All right. So I could talk to you forever, Stephanie. There's so many good things to share about the work that you're doing. I'm so grateful for your open heart and taking the training and competency and capabilities to get back in an industry you had left. I
Right
suspect that
from
maybe
it. Yeah, right from
real
it.
estate sales was probably not as dirty, but you just get your hands in there and get it done.
Yeah.
And God bless you for that. But I want to end this up with some rapid fire questions,
Okay.
and you just give me the response on the top of your head. You ready for
Okay.
this?
Ready.
What's one thing you've learned about yourself this past year?
That I can be nice.
You can be nice. You can be so nice.
I can be nice.
I want you to a moment recently that made you smile.
Well, yesterday I got really excited over gutters.
I love it. I totally understand that. Is there a person you want to honor or thank?
Yes, I would like to. I'm so thankful for our sheriff, Shane Hilliard. He is my hero because his response during Helene and after Helene has been incredible. I'm so proud to live in a community that has such an incredible sheriff. So yes, Shane Hilliard, Sheriff Shane Hilliard he's my hero.
Sheriff Hilliard, right?
Yes.
That's great. I've heard so many people talk about the sheriffs in their local counties. They play such an important role all along, but boy, so many heroes in those jobs all across Western North Carolina. And the last question, one line that you wish you could share with the entire state of North Carolina.
Please don't forget about us. We're still rebuilding.
And I would say amen to that. That's the reason we're doing this, Stephanie. We are still rebuilding. And we're not going to forget about you. And we'll keep the message out there and keep encouraging folks to volunteer, to give, to join in, to support, and pray for us too. Sure. All of that helps, but there's still a tremendous amount of work to be done. I'm so thankful, Stephanie, for you. Thank you. Rebuilding Hollers is a mission, and you are on a mission, and so many people are benefiting because of it. Thanks for everything you're doing, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thanks so much for joining us this week for the Sharon Decker podcast, where, once again, we've shared what we love, where we love, and the people we love in Western North Carolina. Join us next week, too. And in the meantime, you'll find us at SharonDecker.com or on Instagram at TheSharonDecker.